The governor of Kaduna State, Sani, is seeking rapid investment in small and medium enterprises as a panacea for poverty and insecurity in the country. He made this call at the signing of a 1 billion naira memorandum of understanding with the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency. This, he believes, will stimulate growth and financial inclusion in Kaduna State.
When I came in as a governor of Kaduna State, I realized that more than 60% of our people, mostly those in the rural areas, were completely financially excluded. And that was the reason why I signed an executive order on financial inclusion. And I can tell you, that executive order, right now as we are speaking, we have been able to bring nothing less than at least 2.5 million of our vulnerable, underserved, and poor back to financial services system. Today, these 2.5 million I'm talking about, most of them lives in the rural areas. We have people account for them, support them with small businesses. Right now, they can save, they can be able to do their businesses, and they are entrepreneurs at their level. I mean, they are focusing mostly at the level of macro businesses, not even this little business. But we believe when we came in, even the number of SMEs and even the nano businesses at the level of when we came in, I think you can count them. They were not more than 10 to 12,000. But today, as we are speaking, how much we have been? 180,000.
Short term is just giving them aids, but to address insecurity long term is actually engaging young people to work. And one of the ways that we can engage them to work is by providing finance for them at single digits, very cheap financing. You know, in this part of the world, access to finance has become very expensive and also become very scarce.
Joining us now to discuss the effective ways of empowering SMEs is as panacea for fight against poverty, insecurity and banditry is Dr. Charles Odii. He is Director General, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, you saw him moments ago in that report, and you landed on what is core in terms of financial inclusion for SMEs,
yes.
Funding.
Yes.
Let's start this conversation there. And how important is, number one, financial inclusion, and how much of a facilitator is it for small, medium enterprises in Nigeria?
Thank you so much for having me. So basically, if you take 10 small businesses in a room and ask them what their basic problems are, they will tell you it's access to finance. Right? And so one of the things that we need to do is basically make sure that there's affordable financing for our small businesses to do business with. And what we've seen today is we're trying to democratize that access, right? Nigeria, as at our last count, we do a survey every 5 years. The last time we did the survey, we have 39,654,385 nano, micro, small, and medium enterprises. And so we've further gone to break down these enterprises. So the nano businesses are businesses that have less than 3 employees and are doing an annual turnover of 3 million. If you break that down, that's about 250,000 naira every month. And our data shows that out of the numbers that we have, 38,413,420 are nano businesses. That means 96.9% of all the businesses that we have in Nigeria are nano businesses. So we need to actually make sure that we can help those nano businesses scale by providing access to finance for them to formalize. And so that's why it's very important. And for us as a government agency that's started with the responsibility of rural industrialization, we are going into the nooks and crannies, looking for these small businesses and making sure that they have the requisite financing. If they go to a commercial bank today, what they get sometimes is 30, 35%, 33%. Nobody can do any reasonable business with that sum. It means that you're just living for the banks. So we're actually democratizing the access to make sure that cheap and affordable financing is made available for our nano businesses at the bottom of the pyramid.
I know you've been talking all day and probably stressed your voice, but I need you to project a bit more so we can hear you. So Kaduna State just signed a 1 billion naira MOU to agents. Is that correct?
Yes.
What exactly is this money for, and how soon will the small businesses, the lifeline of Nigeria's economy, as you have put them, when you say there are over 80% of them. How soon will they begin to feel the impact of this 1 billion naira, and who's the money for?
Right. So we did the same thing in Katsina, and in 3 months, they were able to just walk through the technical working groups to make sure that they got the access to the finance. And so in Katsina State, approximately 250 million of the 1 billion was signed have been disbursed to the small businesses. So I'm very optimistic that in the next few weeks, our small businesses in Kaduna State will get the funding. And the funding are for 3 things. One, the small businesses are supposed to use the money to add to their working capital for them to continue to increase trade. Secondly, they use to buy work equipment. So if you're like a trader or in logistics, you can buy motorcycles. If you're in the digital space, you can buy laptops. If you're in the photography, you can buy cameras. And the last one is they use the money to procure workspaces. So if you need to buy farmlands, if you need to get an office, anything out of those 3 things will be outside the scope of what this funding is for.
These funds or funding, are they in the form of, there's some kind of
grants or loans?
Grants or loans, yes. I mean, what exactly are they? And is this, it would be nice to peep into the MOU you signed with Kaduna State. And will that be a template that you use across, every part of the country?
So we signed with Katsina, we signed with Kaduna, we signed with Cross River, we signed with Enugu. But in some of the states, we haven't ascended, we haven't gotten to the port of disbursement. But they vary, different states for different level of small businesses they want to cater to. But I mean, the funds that we're giving are loans.
Right.
The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been magnanimous. Upon arrival into office, he made a proclamation for 50 billion naira as grants to nano businesses, and 1 million of those nano businesses are supposed to get a sum of 50,000 naira. To date, we've disbursed at least 90% of that funds. At least 900 million nano businesses have gotten 50,000 naira. And so to couple with that, we've gone out to meet financial institutions, international development organizations to add to that, and we've been able to negotiate to date 13 billion naira in terms of loans to be added to the grants that are going for small businesses in the Nigeria MSME ecosystem.
But how effective has this been? Because if you say that the administration has budgeted 50 billion,
yes,
and so far you have given how many businesses, small businesses?
Over 900,000
across the country.
Across the 36 states.
How effective will you say that has been? Because we hear the administration is not doing anything. There's poverty in the land, and if you're giving out 50,000 naira per business, what am I supposed to do? Use 50,000 naira to do? You mentioned for Kaduna, for instance, or Katsina, farm spaces, motorcycles. I don't think there's any farm space.
Motorcycles are even going for how much?
That's 50,000 naira we buy. So how effective really is this scheme? So
the funds that we're given from the MOU are loans. So the ones that the president had earmarked, the total sum was 200 billion. 75 billion for large enterprises to take at a single-digit interest rate, another 75 billion for small businesses to take at a single-digit interest rate, then 50 billion for 1 million nano businesses. Remember, I said to you, nano businesses for us are businesses that have less than 3 employees, and are generating 250,000 naira every month, annually 3 million. So if you take 250,000 naira every month, and someone has given you 1/5 of what you generate per month, free of charge, you don't have to pay back. What we need to show, or what we need to see, is that there's traction. I think that's a welcome development.
Yes.
And you may ask, what is 50,000 naira going to do? But if you go to my village where I come from, in the Delta North area, 50,000 naira is still what some people use to trade, especially our women in the markets. 50,000 naira is what they use to actually put together to start some form of trade. And so the last woman I was talking to had said that in a month, in a day, after she has sold and paid back, because there's a contribution adjust scheme, after she has paid back, what she takes home every day is like 2,000 to 3,000 naira. So if someone is coming, if the president is looking at those sets of people, and I'm so magnanimous, I'm so happy that the president is magnanimous towards that sector. To give them those kind of funds to add to their trade, to continue to do business.
Right, yes. Like you said, about 39 million SMEs in Nigeria as at the last count. This government hopes to achieve a $1 trillion economy, and one would imagine that these SMEs would be, the backbone of this realization. But we have to say thank you very much. Dr. Charles Odii is the DG, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN. Thank you for joining us.